On Digital DJ Tips on our YouTube and on our Facebook channels. Welcome, it's great to have you here. We're talking about your DJ laptops today. How to choose a DJ laptop. This is a guide for beginners. So if you have got a laptop already, but you're starting DJing, you're wondering if it's good enough, or you are just in the mood to upgrade your laptop, it is that gap between Black Friday and Christmas. After all, you might be wanting to treat yourself. We'll talk about DJ laptops and hopefully I'll be able to help you decide and not make an expensive mistake. That's basically the whole point here. So I'm going to just give a shout out to all our regulars. Welcome, it's good to have you back. If you are watching this on the replay, maybe you missed it live, maybe that's because you're not subscribed. So click subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, click the bell as well, which will help you to know when these things are going on live. It's much more fun live, and the reason it's more fun live is you can ask questions live. And I will try my best to get to your questions, and if not, my team will definitely get to you as well. So if you're new to this, we're Digital DJ Tips. I'm Phil Morse. I'm the author of this book, which is about DJing. I will zoom in on it there. You can have a look. Rock the Dance Floor. It is a #1 bestseller on Amazon that teaches you how to DJ. The reason I wrote this book is the reason that I am the CEO of Digital DJ Tips as well, because my mission and our mission here at this company is to help you become better DJs and better DJ producers. We do it through our website, we do it through our social channels, our broadcasts like this, and also through our training, which happens both on video and live. So if you're interested in taking this further, I'll give you a link at the end. But that's who we are, and we're talking about DJ laptops today. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to check we're live. It looks like we are. Some very early shout outs to people. So I'd like to say hello to Faye, to Kevin. All our regulars are here. Kevin says, show the tips. I'm a 30-year-old guy. Good to have you here, Kevin. 30's very young. You're a baby, mate. Hello to Brian and Tyson. Tyson's always here like this. Hello to Sylvain, who says, hello, what's the model of your stand for your computer? Everyone asks for the model of the stand for the computer, and Lauren will let you know in the comments underneath. Hello to Jonas, who says, hi, Phil and the Digital DJ Tips team. To Ignatius, to Tyson, who says, I love that book. Thank you, Tyson. Hello to Dag. It's always good to have you here, my friend. And Andy, who says the best laptop is the one that you can afford. Andy, you are speaking sense. So that is our Facebook stuff. And I will try and get some comments in from YouTube very shortly as well. Maybe we've got some early ones there. Oh, yeah, we have. So hello to DJ Savvy, to Super Rockin', DJ Smash, to Sarah, to DJ Dynamics, to Lorenzo, to Julio. Lorenzo says, what III headphones are those, and do they sound good? They are the on-ear model. I'm not sure what they're called. Yeah, they sound awesome. We love them. And hello to Andrew, to Ryan, and to Raj, who says, I'm a beginner. Should I buy CDJs or a controller? In short, get a controller. Hello to Luna DJ and Andre and DJ Genox. Valentino, very, very busy on YouTube as well today. So good to have you all here. Let's get back to our subject of the day, which is DJ laptops. So, okay. Firstly, as Andrew said in the comments there, the first thing to ask yourself if you're considering a DJ laptop is, do I really need to buy a laptop just for DJing? And the truth is, you probably don't. If you already own a laptop, it's probably good enough for what you need to do, certainly at the beginning of your DJ career. But you do need a laptop. So some people say, do I really need one? I've got my music on my phone. I'm going to buy a controller that just lets me plug in a USB. Do I really need a laptop? Is there a way around this? There isn't a way around it. And the reason there's no way around it is that you need to gather your music. You need to get logging yourself into Beatport or to Apple Music or to TrackSource or to wherever you're buying your music, and you need to buy it, you need to get it onto a computer, you need to sort it out. And that's still only really possible to do on a computer. So you need a laptop. If you're planning on using DJ gear that doesn't need a laptop to DJ from, and there is DJ gear out there that does that, I'm thinking of the Pioneer XDJ range, for instance, and of course in pro DJ booths, most DJs don't take laptops, they use a USB drive. If you want to DJ without a laptop in the DJ booth, any old laptop will do. The software that you need to organize your music and tag it and queue it and do all that stuff DJs need to do beforehand, it doesn't need a very expensive or a very powerful laptop at all to run. So if you're just thinking of doing it that way, then don't worry about it. Whatever you've got is definitely all right. But even if you're going to DJ like 70% of DJs do, which is with a controller and with your laptop with you when you're DJing, even then, you don't massively need to go to town on your laptop for it to be able to work. If you're piling in the effects and you're live streaming your set at the same time and you're running 4 decks and all that kind of stuff, it might get to the point where you start to see the difference between a good laptop and an average one. But DJ software is not demanding in the same video editing software is demanding, or software that lets you DJ with videos and visuals is demanding. So just bear in mind that it's not the massive processor intensive application that you might think it is, and the laptop you've got is probably all right. So the next question is, what are the things to look out for when you're buying a DJ laptop? Well, the first thing to do is just to go and look at the specification page on the website of the software you're considering buying. So let me talk you through this. This is a Pioneer DDJ 400. You might be looking for one of these for Christmas. You might be buying one for someone. Someone might be buying one for you. Very popular controller right now. There's also the Pioneer DDJ 1000. They're record box controllers. If you search on the Pioneer website for record box minimum specification, there'll be a page that tells you what your laptop has to do as a minimum and what it has to do recommended. The same for Serato, the same for Traktor, and the same for Virtual DJ. So whichever system you're thinking of buying, whichever controller you're thinking of buying, and I've just got this one here for an example today, have a look at the page on the software website to see what the minimum specification and the recommended specification is. That's a really good starting point. So let me talk you through a few of the things that you will see there and what they mean. So the first thing is processor. The processor is the brain inside your laptop. It's the thing that does the thinking. And the processor, the more modern it is and the more powerful it is, the quicker your laptop is, assuming everything else remains equal. So nowadays you're looking for an i3 as a minimum, i5 is good, i7 is absolutely brilliant. Overkill for 90% of DJs. So they're the three you're looking for. Again, if it's a modern laptop, it's probably already got a processor that's absolutely fine. But if you're buying one of those tiny Ultrabook things, or you're spending just a couple of hundred on it, then it's worth checking that processor and whether it's likely to work with your computer. Years ago, there was an issue with AMD processors, for instance, with certain software, which is kind of like is water under the bridge now. It was a while ago. But it is worth just checking it out. If you haven't got an i3, an i5, or an i7 in your computer, it might be that your software will struggle. You can always Google the name of the processor and the name of the software and see what comes up. So that's the processor. Before we move on, I just want to grab a few more comments from live. Jen says the Dell Inspiron laptop has some weird USB chip that gives Pioneer Gear trouble, intermittent crackling. So thanks for that. That's so some weird USB chip on the Dell Inspiron laptop. Ali says I'm going to get DVS for Christmas and project the laptop onto a widescreen mounted on the wall in front of the DJ rig. Well, Ali, that's a really cool idea. I hope you have fun with that. Maybe you can send us some video or picture of it when you've done it. That is Kevin says, my laptop is an Asus ROG i7. It's a video monster. The beefier, the better. Rudy says, I never connect my laptop to the internet while DJing. And to be honest, it's also my personal computer. So I still don't want to have all those notifications popping up when I'm DJing. Of course you don't. Most people use their personal computer for DJing. It's all very well if you're doing this professionally, like I am, and you can have a computer dedicated to it. But most people use their home computer for it. And to be honest, I've got DJ software on my personal one as well. I quite often end up just DJing on that because it's nearer. So, you know, there's nothing unusual about that. Carl says, get a MacBook. Mine has never let me down in 7 years. Russell says, I hope that Phil covers if you decide to DJ on your current laptop, it needs to be almost set up exclusively for DJ use. One really good idea is to set your laptop up with 2 users. So, you know, when you first turn your laptop on, it says, you know, user log in. You can have a separate user. You can call the second one DJ, right? And then when you log in as DJ, everything's turned off in the settings for that user apart from your DJ stuff, right? So you can kind of like have 2 personas, nighttime persona and daytime persona on your laptop. It's another good way of doing it. I'm going to just flip over to YouTube and get a few more comments coming in live there as well. Don't want to leave you guys and girls out. Lorenzo says, I'm trying to choose headphones. Lorenzo's still talking about these headphones. Choosing between the III TMA2 and the Mi Audio M7 Pro. Not heard the Mi Audio one, so I can't tell you about that. So Kevin uses a Dell XPS second-hand i7 core processor in his computer. And Andre says, I use a 10-year-old laptop. I don't have any problems at all. Exactly. Andre is using a 10-year-old laptop and it's absolutely fine. Hi to Data Transmission. Great to have you here. Great to talk to you earlier in the week as well. DJ Headrattle says, I've got a brand new MacBook. Well, lucky you, DJ Headrattle, over on YouTube. Okay, so let us continue. So we're talking about what laptop to buy for DJing. And this is a guide for beginners, but that said, hopefully you'll find something useful here at whatever stage in your DJing you're at. The next thing is we've covered the processor, and the next thing is the amount of memory in your laptop. So memory is an important thing because your computer, imagine we've talked about the processor being the brain. The memory is kind of where it stores stuff that it needs, and it can get it back very quickly from the memory, like that, right? So if you're loading songs, if you're processing songs in real time, the processor does the thinking, but it can't keep anything really in itself, so it needs to put it somewhere, and it puts it in the memory. So the more memory you've got, the better, because that's the place where it's instant backwards and forwards. And that's the difference between memory and the hard drive. The hard drive, there's always a lag, a time differential between getting it on and off the hard drive compared to the memory. And so the more memory you've got, the better, basically. You'll generally find if you've got 4 gigabytes of memory, that's going to be fine. If you've got an older laptop with 2 or even 1, it might be all right, but you might find your operating system is struggling nowadays with that amount of memory. If you've got 8 gigabytes of memory, perfect. So you're gonna be absolutely fine. And any more than that, you know, it's blue water. But 4, you generally find 4 gigabytes, 4 GB, in other words, of memory is about right for most DJ use. So just check it out. And by the way, you can always check your system by just clicking on a Mac. You click the Apple and you click, I think it's Show Me, Tell Me About This System. It's about this Mac, and there's a similar button on PCs, and you can see what you've currently got: processor, memory, hard drive, and so on in there. So if you're not sure, go and have a check in there. But memory, about 4 gigabytes is the minimum you're going to be looking for. If you've just joined us, especially if you've just joined us live, we're talking about DJ laptops, and you can watch this again from the beginning at the end on YouTube or Facebook if you've just joined us live. So stick with this, stay with us till the end. And if you're enjoying this, by the way, please do hit that share button underneath. It does help us to do this stuff when you can get it out there and get the word far and wide for us. So welcome if you're just here now. I know a lot of people kind of trailing as we're carrying on. So we've covered memory, we've covered processor. Now let's move on to your hard drive. So your hard drive is the big memory. It's like the long-term memory, if you like. And your hard drive is the place where all your songs are going to be stored, etc., the software itself. Now, different DJs have different opinions on this. It's my opinion that your hard drive ought to be the one that's in your computer. Some people swear by having an external hard drive. And I'm not like against external hard drives. I have an external hard drive which I carry around and use for my video. Preparing videos like this, when this isn't live, when I'm actually recording this and turning it into a finished, polished video, I have a hard drive to keep all my video stuff on, so I can take it to other studios and continue editing there and stuff. For music, for DJing, I prefer to have the internal hard drive on my laptop. Why? Because it's one less thing to take with me. It's one less wire between this and that when I'm DJing to worry about accidentally getting pulled out or whatever. And nowadays, you can get very big hard drives built into laptops which can carry all your music reasonably easily. So, in my view, internal is better than external, although you may have a different view, and that's fine. Secondly, there are 2 types of hard drive. There is the old-fashioned hard drive, if you like, which has a very fast spinning disc in it, and it's almost like a tiny record deck with a little arm that reads the magnetic material off the disc. And then there is the solid-state hard drive, which is the same kind of hard drive that's built into your phone or your iPad, and indeed into modern laptops. And there are other drives that kind of combine the 2. If possible, a solid state or SSD drive is better. And the reason it's better is there are no moving parts. So you imagine this laptop, if I turn the volume up in here and we've got the bass booming away, this is going to be rattling, right? And when this rattles, that hard drive is taking the rattling, and that means it's more likely to fail or more likely to not work properly and than to send dodgy data backwards and forwards when it's reading or writing. Whereas a solid state drive doesn't have those problems. It's one less thing to wobble about and go wrong, basically. And also you're moving your laptop around a lot and it can take bangs and knocks and so on. Again, a solid state drive will deal with that better. The downside of an SSD drive is that for the same money you get far less capacity. So for instance, I think that's got 1 terabyte or half a terabyte. It's an expensive drive. 500 gigabyte drive in there. It's expensive. For the same money, you could get a far bigger standard drive, which is not SSD. All on balance though, I would always go for the SSD. And if it means that you're not taking all your music with you, that's going to make you a better DJ because you're going to have to think about what you are taking with you. But that is another Facebook and YouTube live for sure. So SSD drives are definitely best if you can afford it for the size that you need. So a couple of other silly little things that most people don't think about. And actually, before I tell you what they are, let's see it in the comments. Please let me know what you think is important in a laptop that I haven't covered. So remember, we've covered, and no Mac versus PC, we're going to get onto that. We've covered memory, we've covered hard drive, and we've covered processor. But what else? I'm looking for those things that people maybe don't think of. And I've got a couple here written down that we always teach, but I'd love to know if you can guess them. So have a go down in the comments. While you are, I'm going to dive down into the comments and just read out a few of your questions and comments here. So I agree with internal hard drive, says Andrea. I actually have two SSDs built into my laptop, one for audio and the other one for everything else, which is awesome. Love it and no issues. I use it, however, Tim uses an external storage for his libraries. He moves audio and video for his show to the hard drive and a copy on a few USBs as well. Ignatius has got it right. One of the ones I'm gonna talk about. So well done, Ignatius. Joey has got it right as well, but I would expect you to get it right, Joey, because you teach this stuff here. So well done, Joey. Matthew says battery life is a big one. You know, I've never ever considered battery life on my laptop at all because it's always plugged in, apart from on a plane. But yes, I think overall in a laptop it's important. For DJing, I don't think so because it's going to be plugged in, isn't it? But good point. They're starting to make solid state portable drives, says Brian. Yeah, they are. We've got one. There's a good Samsung one, a little blue Samsung solid state portable. It's really, really cool. I've seen a lot of live streaming DJs using that. And also we've got one by latency. It's the one with the orange border on it. CD drive, says Tyson. Actually, it's a really good point, Tyson. Having a CD drive, not that many laptops have them in nowadays, is great because it means you can rip all your CDs whenever you want to, and indeed play from CD if someone gives you one. Do people still give you CDs to play from? I'm not sure. Okay, so there's a few of what you were saying about this over on our Facebook page and on the YouTube stream. So what's going on down there? Cable management, says Kyubi. Yeah, it's a good point. Cable management is definitely important. An obvious addition to any spec is SSD, is dedicated graphics card, and David says a backlit keyboard is a must. That is one I wasn't going to cover, David, but it is really important. Well said. Yes, having a light behind your keyboard. Imagine you're in a dark DJ booth. You need to be able to see what you're doing. Thank you very much. I love these things because people always improve what we're teaching by pointing things out live, and that is the fun of this. Data transmission output ports, i.e. USBs, very, very important. So, you know, there were MacBooks recently that only had, in fact, I think the MacBook Air still has one USB-C. Now that's fine, unless you want to charge your MacBook while it's plugged into your controller, right? So you're going to need two USBs as a minimum. So very, very good point. And of course, if you're plugging production gear and so on in and linking it together, you're going to need more, or you're going to need a powered hub, and that starts to get complicated. So thank you for that. USBs. A few of you saying USBs. Are there any USB hubs for DJs, says Andre? Well, if you need to buy a USB hub, buying a powered one that plugs into the electricity source is a really good idea because it just makes sure all the equipment you've got plugged into it is getting enough power. You don't want that to start to fail you when you're in the middle of a DJ set, do you? Laptop stand, says a few people. Luna DJ on YouTube is asking for a link to this laptop stand. We will put it in the description or in the comments or something for you, Luna DJ. It's a great laptop stand. I always forget who made it. So you have to make sure you've got a dedicated graphics processor unit so the memory is not shared, says Kevin. And I agree with you, Kevin, as long as you, if you're starting to use video and stuff, but if you're just using audio, I've never found that to be an issue with, with older laptops and so on. So loads and loads of comments coming in here about things that I haven't covered. So the two that I was going to cover are, and I don't think anyone mentioned this down there, you need a big, bright screen. The reason for this is twofold. One, DJ software is really complicated. I mean, this is, I don't know if you can see that very well there. I've got Rekordbox running here because I've got this controller here. It's very, very complicated software. And so it's got an awful lot going on the screen. And there's always panels you can switch in and switch out to make it, get the effects on or to get extra decks on and that kind of thing. And it soon gets very complicated very quickly. So the bigger screen you have, the more you can fit on at once, right? And quite often in DJ software, when you try and open something new, it'll say, not enough room on the screen to open this. And you're like, oh. So having a big screen is really important. But also, having a big screen means that you can make the resolution lower. Now that might sound weird, but if you've got a huge screen, you can go into your screen settings and you can knock the resolution kind of down one notch, and then everything gets bigger. So you can't fit as much on the screen, but everything that is on there is bigger, and that can be really good on your eyes, especially if you wear glasses like I do, because you can just see everything better from slightly further away. So you don't need to have your laptop set like that in order to DJ, right? Or do the dreaded kind of like face like this when you're DJing, because you can just have it further away, everything's a bit bigger. Because you've got a big screen, there's still enough room to see everything, and you can glance at it and see what's going on. So really important to think about your screen, and also the brightness of the screen, because if you're DJing in daylight, you're going to need that screen to be bright. We had a tip here a week or two ago about how to invert your screen, so all the blacks are white and all the whites are black, to make DJ software really sing. So if you haven't seen that one, go and have a look. It's on YouTube, definitely, a week or so ago here. But having a bright screen in the first place can really help with that. So look at the brightness of the screen on the laptop that you're considering. So they're the two things I wanted to cover there. And the final thing, which is pretty obvious, brings me on to the dreaded Mac versus PC debate. And I'm going to deal with this in about 20 seconds flat. I'm not going to dwell on this at all. It's build quality. Now, build quality is important because, as I said earlier, you're knocking this thing around. It's in a bag. You might drop it. It's going to be set up in a DJ booth where people might accidentally hit it and stuff. The build quality of your computer has to be good enough to stand up to that. It needs to be rugged and, of course, have a nice case on it as well. This has got a plastic see-through case on it, which looks good and protects it a bit further. But the build quality is important. Now, you don't get a badly built Mac computer. And PCs come from the very, very, very cheap and flimsy up to built far better than Macs, right? And everything in between. With a Mac, you don't have that problem. You spend the money on a Mac, you're going to get something that is built pretty well, and you know it's going to be rugged and it'll hopefully last. Exactly the same on a PC, and for a little bit less money, you'll get a PC that's just as well built with the same spec and so on. So the thing with PCs for me, the biggest thing, and I could talk about it for hours, but the biggest thing is if you spend enough money on a PC, you're going to get something that's slightly better value than a Mac and that does just as well for your DJing as a Mac would. The danger is in cutting corners and getting something where it's flimsy, it's made of plastic, the screen's not very bright, etc., etc. It's got a non-standard processor in it, all little corners, and one of them might just trip you up. So just be a little bit careful if you're buying a PC that you spend enough money on it and you research it well enough, because you're more likely to trip up. But this is the big debate here, is Mac versus PC, right? And the biggest difference between the two sets of users is Mac users don't tend to be quite so techie. They're not quite so get under the cover and twiddle around. PC users not only are, but they enjoy that. So your choice is going to be down to your personality and how you are with computers as well, I think. But for me, the main thing is build quality, and you get slightly better value with PCs over Macs because there is a slight differential. It's not as big as it used to be actually, but that's the kind of main thing as well. Now, the one other point I want to cover is latency, and I'll cover that in a second. I just want to grab a few more comments because it's really, really busy today. Lots and lots of people got a lot to say. Loads of you asking about the laptop stand. Marios, we will let you know about that. Who the hell DJs off a PC, says Kaubi. 55% of our audience DJ off a PC. We do a census every year. It's actually coming next week, our new census for 2019, so you'll be able to take part in that. But yeah, it's about 55%, so slightly more than half. Laptops are a bit better for the neck. What DJ stand is this? Loads and loads and loads of you asking about the DJ stand. A slim laptop is always nice, but you need a big screen, says DJ. Doesn't a pout. Sean says, I do have issues with Serato skitting out sometimes. I just turn off Wi-Fi and it works fine. Is it because there's too much going on on the laptop? Very likely that's part of the reason. I'll show you a little trick in a minute as well that might be able to help you with that. Let's just pop over to Facebook and catch up there, and then I'll talk about latency to end this broadcast today. So on Facebook, I did start DJing on PC and I did the switch a few years ago. I won't DJ on PC anymore. Mac is the best, says Eric. Okay, you need an HDMI. Lots of you liking the Mac is the best bit. Need an HDMI port, says Michael. Yes, you certainly do if you're using video, but of course everything's switching to USB-C nowadays, and we're all full of adapters in our bags, aren't we? I've got an HDMI to Thunderbolt adapter in the back of that laptop, in the back of that computer, etc., etc. So you need a good sticker to cover the Mac logo, says Niall. Love it. Good bit of humour. All right, so yeah, let's move on to talking about latency. So latency, I can hopefully get this laptop, this computer, There you go, you can hear that right. Latency is the difference between what you do and when it gets heard by your audience. So basically, that means that the computer has a bit of processing power in order to make everything work, right? You can't just do something and it happens instantly, because something has to happen. It has to get to the computer has to hear what you said, has to apply it to the software, has to go back to the sound card, the audio has to come out, and the time it takes for that to happen is called latency. And so, generally, that feels instant to you, feels instant to me, doesn't it? But it isn't. If you go into the settings on the software, there will be a latency or a buffer size, and it'll be a slider between like 5 milliseconds or 2 milliseconds and 50 or something like that. And latency is the key if you're having software issues, because the more powerful your laptop, the lower you can have that setting, and the more instant things happen. For pressing start and stop and cue buttons and so on, it's no problem. But when you're like a really good scratch DJ who needs absolutely constant and instant control like this, you will start to feel if the latency is set too high. So as you're getting to the point where it really, really starts to be obvious to you, then you're going to want a more powerful laptop so you can get that setting a bit lower. But in answer to the question of the viewer, if you are having problems, you are having glitches, then putting that latency slider up a bit so the number is higher, so you're allowing the computer more time to listen to what you want and do it, might mean that everything just runs a little bit more smoothly. So that's my tip for dealing with that. Okay, so I think we're done here today. It's been really, really cool, and thank you so much on both channels, on both YouTube and on Facebook, everyone who has been commenting. It's been really awesome to have so many of you on there. I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that's happening next week. Next Monday, it is time for our Digital DJ Census 2019. As you will probably know if you're a regular, we have a huge prize giveaway as part of that. I know it runs to nearly $20,000 in prizes from all the big names, Pioneer, Denon, Newmark, Reloop, Tractor, and so on. This year, we'll announce what the prize draw is, but basically everyone who takes our Digital DJ Census, our massive survey of DJs, will get a free entry into that draw, and we'll be drawing people in just a few weeks' time and let you know if you've won something. So keep an eye on the site for that on Monday. It's the biggest prize fund ever. 32,000 DJs took this survey last year, and we're hoping to beat that this year. It's an awesome survey. You can have your say, tell the industry what you think, and also get entered into a big prize draw. So that's coming. Look out for that. We'll let you know more about that then. Meanwhile, all that's left for me to do is to ask you to share this if it's been useful. Click the like button, click the subscribe button if you are not a subscriber already, so you can join these broadcasts live in the future so we can notify you. And all that's left for me to say at the very end, as I always do, is get good, get out there, make the moments. And we'll see you again on another Tuesday Tips Live here on Digital DJ Tips next week. Till then.